Welcome to Pressplay, Kanika.
Good morning, Vineet. How are you doing today? Thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to be on the platform. Let's get rolling.
Awesome. Fantastic to have the Vice President, Digital Content Services, Vodafone Idea, as our guest for Pressplay's 11th podcast. I'm incredibly excited to welcome Kanika on. Excited to see also how Vodafone Idea is emerging as a robust content aggregator and a go-to digital destination as the streaming wars continue to dominate the narrative. So let's get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Kanika, and also what it's like to call the digital shots, I might say, at Vodafone Idea, one of India's leading telecom operators.
Wow, those were a lot of questions within one, but a little bit about myself. Constantly in motion. I think I'm constantly in motion, constantly learning and unlearning and relearning. To talk a little bit about myself, come from a small town and spent almost about 18 odd years in the media and entertainment space, tech space, primarily in functions like marketing, business development, portfolio management, strategy. I've had an interesting, run, Vineet, in terms of my career. I began my career from media planning, moved to, fictional entertainment, or moved to rather television channels, lived my dream, of childhood. I used to say that I always wanted to say I wanted to work for TV. I did not know that I will be doing that and will be sometimes on TV. So I think life has come full circle. And I've spent my 18 odd years of working between, like I said, from media planning to broadcasting to films to digital, and now OTT, as we say, in past 5 years, to scuba diving. And I think
Nice.
to sum up my career, it is primarily, like I said, I love to work on, projects or plans where you're scaling. And I think digital is a very exciting space. Video is a very exciting space in past 5 years. And I'm happy and lucky one to be here in this space.
That's amazing. I think, the reason why also this podcast is special is because this is the first one where we have someone from the telecom side or someone who owns the pipe, as they say, on the podcast. So thank you for that introduction. Amazing story, and looking forward to hearing more about the scuba diving experiences as we go along. So, I think the audience will love to hear about how you have helped your customers leverage digital video, especially over the past 16 months during the pandemic and even today.
I think it's pretty. I think it's a very generic answer, which all of us will tell you, that video has been booming, right? In past 16, 18 months, video consumption is at about 70%, 65%, depending on what are you watching. Are you watching short format, or are you watching long format? Ironically, I've been one of those people, and I would go back 5 years down the line, where I was running from pillar to post to sell my concepts. And everybody would turn back and say, digital, nobody works on digital and nobody makes, full shows. And look, here we are. Every today's studio is taking out a slate, which is 15, 16 digital first films, original shows. So I think it's a great exploration. I mean, I've been working on the content pipeline now for past 3.5 years. And I can tell you, in past 16 months, among all partnerships, I think regional is booming, and many people have said so. I have nothing different to tell. Another interesting narrative, which I've noticed, that people are moving from just Hindi and English. You tell great stories, and today's stories have no language. So I could be listening or watching a Tamil show or a Telugu show or a Korean show. Third, my favorite topic lately, actually favorite topic, is Korean dramas. I'm a little bit older in age, but believe me, today, if my Netflix recommendation looks all of Korean shows. And that's also simply by purely the story, the way the stories are being told, the narratives, very similar to ours, right? Fantasy, drama, and all the nuances which we have in our Indian storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
What I have seen across platforms, and as somebody who's watching from afar and also partnering with them, is um, people are willing. People have time. I mean, you have no modes of entertainment anymore. I mean, while I know that there are openings happening, I mean, lockdowns are being unleashed, but people are still playing it safe. So what do you do? And I think what we've done is a mobile first strategy, because it is for users who want to watch something in their own space. It's me time. It's not a family time, right? I mean,
Right.
Kanika today is Friday and she's waiting to watch Lucifer. And she wants to watch in private because perhaps she's with her family and she doesn't want to watch with everybody because it might not suit sensibilities. I think that me time and mobile first adoption is something which I have seen go up rather drastically. Like I said, Korean dramas, like I said, regional going up, even movies I've seen. Obviously, what used to happen was that till a time there is a big release or it was a multi-starrer, people would not get to a cinema hall or people would not click on that, button in that OTT app to watch. But today, look at it. I mean, the youngest talent, the latest talent, scripts, stories are coming. And when you see the numbers across apps, very heartening, as I say. I mean, I think it's a great time for content. It's a great time for us, and it's a great time for all creators. I mean, today when I look at so you asked me a question that how does digital video help? It just allows the consumer to watch everything and anything. I'll give you an example of one of our own apps, which is VMTV. You have almost about 12 to 13 partnerships from the likes of Lionsgate, from the likes of Sunnext, from the likes of excuse me, Wood Select, etc. You can watch all content, and all this content is available to you free of cost, right?
Wow.
I mean, everything is available to you free of cost, so you don't need to subscribe to any of it, depending on obviously what recharge pack or postpaid or prepaid pack you are on.
Right.
Anytime, anywhere, watch. Don't have to subscribe to 10 or 15 apps, right? I mean, everything is right under the sun under one app for you to play from. And we've seen our consumptions go up through the roof. English has been very, very interesting for me as a category. Tamil has been an interesting category for me to see grow, specifically in the Hindi speaking market, when it comes to dub films.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which is pretty much also in tandem to what you see on television, right? I mean, in terms of your BARC ratings as well, South always as a market shows, but I was surprised because South Indian as a language is very, very different than that of the North or the East or the West, right?
Correct.
So a lot of content I have seen where subtitles dubbed have picked up. What I've interestingly seen is that the penetration in the tier 2 and tier 3 towns, penetration of English in those towns. So people are watching, let's say, an English film, and then they're able to watch it in different titles. I knew, and I've been a part of it when I was in my, previous years in Sony, when we used to do dubbed content with English, but digital, interesting. How we help our customers, like I said, I truly believe that if there is a value proposition for a consumer where he or she finds benefit, the consumers are willing to pay. And that's all, that's what it is about. I also believe beneath that, and I said this about 18 months back, I think gone are the days when content can be given free. And I'm talking about everybody. I'm talking about the industry in general per se. I truly believe that if you notice, most of the times, I mean, previously in the days when we all were acquiring consumers, everybody was giving free, everybody was trying to rope in that customer and eventually turn them to paid customers. I think the time is right now to be able to provide the best of the services to a consumer. And if he or she finds merit in it, I truly believe that they'll pay.
Yep.
This, of course, is my personal view. I would love to be wrong, but from what I'm seeing in terms of the trends, that's what I see.
Interesting. No, fascinating stuff. I mean, everyone says that we are way past the tipping point, right? There's always a discussion and debate on, are we there yet? but the last 16 months has accelerated that growth, which is awesome to see. And my next question, Kanika, is that from an experienced digital content professional point of view, what is your take on this merger of this content, commerce? You see the telco data play a role. Everyone seems to be offering everything, and the worlds are merging like never before.
Actually, a very, very interesting question. I want to dissect this slightly.
Sure.
What does content mean to you or me, Vineet? Content is anything and everything, right?
Yeah.
Anything and everything. I think the merger of content with the tech, with a telecom company, with e-commerce companies, or with platforms is what brings to light a product, right? Most often than not, I hear people mouth examples of, have you seen the UI of Netflix? Have you seen what Netflix does in the notification? Have you seen how, they mine their data and use AI? What is all of this? I think this is all a sum total of all of the products, right? And to me, the amalgamation of all of it on the back of tech is where it will lead. As we see every day, yes, you're right. Everybody is trying to eye the same consumer, and it's pretty much how better, or what are the propositions which are exciting or lucrative enough for you to be able to provide to your consumers, which others are not. And I think everybody's trying to do that to catch that eyeball. I find, and this is my personal point of view, as I said, I find that sometimes as a fatigue. I truly believe that organizations, or when we are launching a product, we should have something or the other in a cohort which nobody else gives. That means that you go out to that cohort and then you own that cohort.
Right.
I'll give you an example here. About a year back, when this whole discussion was happening that the cinema halls will open up, I had various discussions with everybody, and everybody's like, oh, you don't see cinema halls, cinema 70 popcorn, this, that, the other, family. Sure, of course. I go to all of them. But hey, pandemic.
Yeah.
What happens? I've seen so many digital releases moving. I come from the film business. So many digital releases moving from cinema halls, or not waiting, for the pandemic to be over and to move on to digital platforms. That was a time when actually we were the industry first where we did TVOD, which is pay-per-view. So we had movies like, Wonder Woman. We had movies like, what else? Jack Snyder's film, which was 2020 release.
Yeah.
We had films like that, which you could buy on pay-per-view. You don't want to buy a subscription. You don't want to be, logged into a 1 month or a 2 month and 3 month plan. Fair enough. Go ahead, do it. And look what happened. There are other partners as well in the business, right? Look at Book My Show, who made a whole model out of it. Look at Z, which has made a model out of it. This was an estimate I had about precisely last year. I still remember the date was 23rd March when I was having this discussion, a very heated discussion with somebody on LinkedIn. And lo and behold, so whether it is today multiple OTT players trying to get in digital first films in order to build their B2C subs, or whether it is people opening up new business models, I think it is here to stay. I will never say that one will take over the other, but I think there is space enough for all models. And I think it's a great, believe me, my personal view is it's a great way to bring some semblance into the business, and specifically in the business of films. People had to be shaken up, right? We've lived in this old age model of, okay, give me so much of MG, or this is the cinema hall you're getting, these are the number of shows you're getting, and therefore the ROI. It just moved everything which we all knew. So there are many, many models which are coming up. So deconstruction and construction, I think thumbs up. I think TVOD is still very nascent in the country, but I think a telecom player is one of the greatest mediums, because we go to the nook and corner of the country. In fact, we are the first ones to launch this service for our Android users and for our postpaid users.
Yes, absolutely. I remember that. And I think you make some great points there, right? In terms of the consumer, it's the best time for content consumption, or replacing the word content with stories. We are all consuming stories in one form or the other. And it's the best time to be a consumer of stories. So awesome. Thank you for that. And I have to ask you the next question. How does your baby, right? So digital content services that you head, how does that make sure that customers are engaged? And the second question to the same sort of theme is that what are the channels that you guys use to communicate the value proposition to customers?
You're asking me to give you my secret sauce.
That's why people will listen to this.
Okay. I mean, like you said, right? I mean, digital content services. So everything has to be digital. I mean, I think a lot of times what we do, and this is my personal belief, like I said, I've mentioned before, what is, whom are we going out for? I mean, today there are two kinds of trends. One is video and another is mobile first. I believe in a mobile first strategy. There is every single cohort who is on their mobile and want to consume content which are according to their needs and wants, right? From tier to tier, from cohorts to cohorts, genre to genre, etc. So to answer your question, like I said, I'm not going to give you the recipe of my secret sauce, but to answer your question, what we do is we look after cohorts of cities, cohorts of circles, people, what kind of viewing pattern they have, what are they viewing, what else can they view, what are their likes. We have a very I'm going to say strong recommendation engine. We use a lot of data and tools to arrive at conclusions which primarily take you to the point of how do we send the relevant communication to the consumer. So whether it is through our apps or whether through our communication of our telco machinery or our social media platforms, wherever or anywhere where my consumer is digitally, I would have reached that consumer depending on what kind of audience, what kind of city are they in, and then communicate to them. Because again, I am a telecom pipeline, right? So for me, it's very, very different. The consumer who's using prepaid, the consumer who's using postpaid, different needs, different cohorts.
Interesting.
So hope I answered your question without giving.
No, yeah. I mean, this is very interesting, right? Because the way a telecom operator is forced to think about their content strategy might differ from a OTT platform, a pure play OTT platform guy thinking about their strategy. So I think at the end of the day, what's important to consider is that data is king in terms of who's watching what, for how much time, where. So I think that's perfect. Appreciate that. I think we've covered some good ground. Appreciate all these nuggets of information, Kanika, with all your experience. And the next question is, essentially, you are obviously at the other end of making content deals. And, content is king. So what is the content deal-making landscape today? The audience would love to hear your view on that. Hey, Kanika, I think we lost you. I can't hear your voice. It's
Hello.
Yeah, now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're
Okay,
back.
sorry.
Go ahead. Kanika, sorry, we lost you again there.
Can you hear me?
Now it's back.
My connection is patching. Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, let me ask you the question again. No problem. We can edit this later.
Yeah, sure.
So Kanika, what is the content deal making landscape today? As we know that you guys rely on third-party content services to fuel your engagement, it would be great for the audience to hear from you what kind of content deal making is going on in the world of entertainment.
Many actually, and I think that people have to wear fresh hats. And what do I mean by that? Normally, the content deals across the markets, and I'm certain that everybody knows this is always a two-party deal where you're just used to asking a telecom provider to give sizable amount of monies to entertain the consumers. As I mentioned in a previous, Q&A, I told you that gone are the days where content can be given free, right? I mean, the free lunches has to be over. whether it is for anybody, because that business is unsustainable and one can't do that, right? That's not even business.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are multiple, should I say, there are multiple partnerships which I hear from people or I indulge with people. I'm seeing where, people are looking at doing deep partnerships, which basically means both the parties have skin in the game. What does a normal content deal mean? It basically means that I've given you my content at a certain amount of money and off you go. I think we have to move from those facts. I mean, any partnership or any deal which I look at, three parameters, if I may answer this question in this fashion. One is,
Sure.
if I got the skin in the game, do you? If I'm willing to promote, would you? How deeply can we integrate, or what kind of partnership we are doing which others don't have, so that there is some kind of a novelty in the market when you launch it. Otherwise, if everybody is selling the same wares,
Mm-hmm.
then there are many sellers and many buyers, and all the sellers are selling the same wares.
Mm.
So I'm not sure that if I want to be, standing on Bandra Linking Road and selling clothes like everybody else is selling the same clothes. So I think a little bit of, a differentiation there. Also, what I have learned, and I've been observing some trends across the world as well, as I speak to multiple players,
Interesting.
there
Yeah.
are there are new partnerships where people are coming back and saying, okay, whether there are campaigns where we work together to acquire that consumer, or do we look at partnerships where I acquire the consumer, but you, bring them to me, or there are partnerships where we both are engaged in it for a long period of time, and then, you increase valuations. Like I said, these are very, very
Mm.
interesting. I mean, I'll give you an example. Latest as TVOD, like I said. I mean, I know back in the days, if you had to, get a library of movies, you
Mm-hmm.
had to give an arm and leg to be able to afford. Doesn't matter whether it was fourth run or fifth run or sixth run. I mean,
Absolutely.
today content players have realized that, hey, why not? I mean, India is a country of 1.3 billion people, 560 million internet subscribers, if my maths is not wrong, 900 million subscribers to go by 2025.
Mm-hmm.
How many people in this country are untouched by television or by cinema, but they are on their mobile phone, mind you, Vineet.
Yeah.
So you would go to places where there is no cinema hall, or there might not be a TV, or it might be a one TV household, but the chap or the lady will have a telephone, will have a mobile phone
Right.
or a smartphone, let me say. So
Mm.
look at the possibilities. So I think everybody has to wrap their head around. People are doing so. And I'm seeing interesting trends emerging from the typical trends of, hey, here I am, give me the
Mm-hmm.
dollars.
Yeah.
And, because at the end of the day, like I said, I got to make money for anybody else to make money. And it's, to
Yeah.
me, it has to be a win-win partnership where two brands come together, whatever they are,
Right.
and chalk together a plan, a project which entices obviously the audience, the consumer in this case, and also looks nice on the balance sheet.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I think that's exactly the world we are living in. And we hear this more and more from both the, publishers, the telcos, the OTT folks. It's all about making sure we arrive at win-win solutions. Thanks, Kanika. And then the final question, and the audience will love hearing about stories on this one. But the aim of Pressplay is also to unmask the professional a little bit and talk about their passions and hobbies. So, what are Kanika's passions and hobbies beyond your job?
Wow, we can go for 3 hours on this, or more. Like I said, I'm always in motion, and I'm certain that you know that I'm a master scuba diver trainer.
Yep.
I teach scuba diving in India and all across the globe.
Nice.
Incidentally, happened to be India's second female master scuba diver trainer. And
Good.
I think I spelled out the passion. My passion is to explore the unexplored. My passion is to teach people diving, more so now, specifically with, I think one thing I've learned from COVID, Vineet, is to appreciate nature,
Mm.
right? I mean, if we don't appreciate where we live or the earth we belong to, we are going to perish.
Yep.
And my motto this year, actually rather last year, I have taken upon myself is that as I teach people diving, I'm going to talk more and more about what do we do to our oceans in order to and what are we doing rather, and how much of harm we are putting oceans to, that it is questionable that mankind will survive. And I know my sentence sounds very grave, but that is the fact, right? There are
Yep.
multiple people far equipped than I and knowledgeable than I who've been fighting for this cause. So
Mm.
that's one motto I've taken. Passion is, like I said, diving. I'm 4,000 dives.
That is
I've been diving now,
phenomenal.
yeah, diving now for 10 years, teaching for 7, 8 years. Second passion is travel. I love traveling. I've done about 50 odd countries across the globe. That's pretty much to, like I said in my one sentence, which is basically to unlearn, learn, and relearn. And like I said, surely the
Awesome.
sky lies open. Let us go that way.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Kanika, for your time. Really appreciate it. And the lessons and the experiences that you've shared. Surely we need to have a separate session and podcast on your scuba diving. So, you promised me that we'll have a separate talk on that. And thank you so much for your time.
This is something I can never say no to, you, Vinny, because this topic is very, very close to my heart. In the end, all I say is that I have two passions, two loves of my life. One is content, and another is diving, and I happen to do both. So I'm truly blessed. Thank you
Amazing.
for having me, and it's a pleasure to have a chat with you.
Thank you.